All right, next one. Tips for fast drafting a novel.
Hi, my name is Christina Farley, and I'm the author of the Gilded series and The Princess and the Page. And today I want to talk to you about fast drafting. Right now, I'm in the middle of NaNoWriMo month, and it's tough, guys. I mean, it's hard, even for me. I've been writing now for, like 11 years, 12 years, a long time. But there are definitely tricks that I use to help me fast draft. The first thing I make sure I do is I give myself reasonable, reachable goals. Okay, so I have a full-time writing job and I have 2 children that I'm running around for soccer practices and school, and things are busy for me. But I love the idea of NaNoWriMo month because everyone is together, we're all writing, we're all working toward a goal. There's something really exciting about that.
Yeah.
So what I do is I give myself a little bit more manageable goal, knowing that I am super busy, but also knowing that I really want to write every day despite my busyness. So I start off with a goal of 30,000 words. That gives me 1,000 words a day. There's no excuse for me to not write 1,000 words a day. That means I'm gonna have to get up earlier, or I'm gonna have to write through my lunch break, or I'm gonna have to stay up late and write, but I can still do it. The next thing I make sure I do is I have time before I start writing my first draft to really brainstorm the storyline and the ideas. So one thing I like to do is have a journal for every book, and I write down all my notes in there for my characters, my world, and ideas for plot. Other ideas that I might have that I'm not sure if they'll work out or not, I always keep this with me and I write notes as I'm brainstorming. The second thing I do is I make sure I plot out my novels pretty extensively before I start writing. And the reason I do this is I always like to know where I'm going with the story, where my character's arc is going to end up at. If I know my...
Here we go again. So I think when it comes to plotting a novel, I do a lot of this technically in my head, right? Like I mentioned before, I'll write down what the idea that inspired the whole thing, right? I'll write out a general idea of that fight scene that I first had, or whatever the scene was that I had in my brain. I'll write that out, but it's kind of like when people also say that they write out character profiles. I'm kind of like, well, sure, I'll write out character profiles for the characters who are very rarely used. They're important people. So I think I've used the king as an example for this. The king is an important character because he does impact the world, but I don't spend a lot of time with him on the page, right? And so I need to be able to click on something pretty quickly and be like, what was his hair color again? Okay, yeah. What was one of his what was one of his nervous tics? Okay, he does that. Yeah, okay. The characters that I have that are more present in the story, I don't really need to write out a character sheet for them, in the sense that I just have it in my brain. I just know that person. They're like my friend in a way, right? I spend a lot of time with them. I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. I know the things that they're going to do as far as, how they would react to certain situations. And I know what their nervous tics. I know how they come across when they're excited, all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of feel like when people say to write out a plot line, that's also kind of the same vein where I'm like, I feel like that really should just kind of be in your head to a certain degree, Now, if I'm writing, now, for instance, this is a good example. I've written very, very bare bone plot lines for a number of my books that I know I'm not going to be getting to in a while, kind of thing, right? I know the idea that I want to have, but I need to get through books 1 through 5 before I can get to book 6, right? But I know what I want to happen in book 6, so I've written about 4 or 5 pages worth of information on book 6, so that when I go to it, I have something to look at and go, okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. Yep. Okay, good, let's go, right? it's just a reminder. But I feel like when you're actually in the midst of writing it and you're right there doing that, I don't know, it to me it feels like a waste of time. Malcolm, you need to shave the sides of your head. You hate having all the hair around your ears. Yeah, man. Gotta get rid of it, you know? Just take a razor blade and just cut it off.
And it's going to help me to make sure my story is going and moving forward. That's not to say that the story might not end exactly how I thought it would, or that things can twist and change, because no matter how much I write and plot out I plot pretty extensively, like I have all kinds of plotting charts, but I promise you, no matter how much I plot, there are so many unexpected things and so much excitement that I find that drafting is much more enjoyable. It's a lot more freeing for me. Another thing that I find really helpful is to always write there's something you're excited about. So that's why it's really great to have that plotting chart, because I think, oh, today I get to write about the attack. Or maybe I'm gonna know that, oh, the kiss scene is coming and I cannot wait to write that scene. It's gonna be so much fun. Or today is when the guy and the girl are gonna have a big fight and everything is gonna blow up in their faces and it's gonna be amazing, right? So always write to those things that you're most excited about and you're eager to get there. And so you're always pushing forward. It's kind of like when you're on a trip, right? And you're going to, maybe like if you're going to France, like I love France. So I know that today, when I'm at France, I'm gonna go see the Eiffel Tower, and I cannot wait to get out of bed and get dressed and head out the door because I'm gonna go see the Eiffel Tower.
So now I don't do this, but I do see what she's saying here, and I do think that it is a good idea to have that kind of motivation where if you plot this way, you know, if you know that, hey, I should be able to get past this point on this day, this day, that kind of thing, right? If you can really plot it out that well to where you know where you're going to be in your book, you know, a week or two in advance, and you can be like, I'm gonna write the kiss scene on Wednesday of next week. First off, that's impressive, but second off, yeah, that could be a good motivator to really strive for, to keep you on goal, because you're like, well, look, you know, Friday was kind of a bad day. I didn't get all my writing done, so that means I have to make it up because I want to write that kiss scene on Wednesday next week. So I need to get it into gear and make up that time. So that is a good motivator.
Same is true for your story. So I think that will help you just keep that process in mind when you're fast drafting. And the most important thing is, I promise you it's gonna be awful. That first draft is gonna be awful. It's just bad. Everyone's first draft is bad. My first drafts are such a train wreck. I just can't even believe that I wrote such horrible stuff. Like, it's so bad. And sometimes it's a little hard when you get to the second draft, but it's so great to have one solid draft finished. And then you can start molding it and crafting it and make it to how you want it to be. So best of luck to you, have fun, and happy fast drafting.
Yeah, when it comes to writing, it is kind of different as far as like how the medium really works compared to other art styles. A lot of other art styles don't have this where you can basically kind of just like blah all over the page and then go back and like rework it and shape it, you know. So that is kind of interesting, and that's very true. I mean, everyone's first draft is trash. So that was a good video.